Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor.
Law firms will take this as a retainer.
What? It must be a law firm where they hungry as hell. Now you gonna help me with this parole I'm dealing with?
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor. With one taste of our premium blends of all-natural ingredients, herbs, and spices, you'll fall in love with meat all over again. Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce collection is made up of 2 zesty flavors, original and spicy. There's only one way to bring order back to barbecuing. Just add Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce and seasoning, and you be the judge.
We are following is the largest fine levied for violating campaign. That other big story we are following is the largest fine levied for violating campaign finance law here in Georgia. And tonight, the group that backed Stacey Abrams' bid for governor in 2018 is in hot water.
It comes after the state ethics campaign spent years looking into the organization for potential violations. 11 Live's Joe Ripley was there when that fine came down. So, Joe, what message does this send?
Yeah, so Faith Jonathan, this fine targets the very group that Abrams founded back in 2013. And today, the State Ethics Commission's fine against the group sends a clear message. If you violate campaign finance law and break the law to influence an election here in Georgia, they're going to come after you, and you will face the consequences.
According to a consent order, the Georgia State Ethics Commission found the New Georgia Project violated campaign finance law tied to Democrat Stacey Abrams' run for governor in 2018 and the MARTA expansion referendum in Gwinnett County in 2019, both losing battles. In the consent order, the New Georgia Project admitted to the 16 violations, including a failure to properly register with the Ethics Commission and a failure to disclose more than $4 million in campaign contributions, plus more than $3 million in spending. In turn, the Ethics Commission fined the group $300,000, the largest campaign finance-related penalty in state history.
If an organization is electioneering in Georgia as an independent committee, they have to register with the commission, they have to disclose the money they raise and the source of that money, where they're bringing in their dollars from. They have to disclose how they're spending that, and they have to indicate in the disclosures what elections they are advocating the election for or against and name the candidate.
The Ethics Commission first looked into a complaint in 2019, but a series of legal battles from the New Georgia Project delayed a decision for years. Cody Hall, an advisor to Governor Brian Kemp, is now questioning what, if anything, Abrams knew and when.
Not only has the New Georgia Project been levied the largest campaign finance fine in state history, they have also agreed with a single accusation made by the Ethics Commission in their investigation.
Legal counsel for the New Georgia Project responded to the consent order in a statement saying they were disappointed in a court ruling that was overturned on procedural grounds. They add, quote, "We are glad to finally put this matter behind us so the New Georgia Project can fully devote its time and attention to its efforts to civically engage and register Black, brown, and young voters in Georgia."
And today, when asked if the State Ethics Commission found reason to believe Stacey Abrams herself violated any laws, Executive Director David Amati said that was still under investigation.
These blues can't help themselves. They have to be crooked. They do not understand this thing called public trust, and they feel they're on a holy mission to fulfill their dedication to certain social agendas that don't even favorably impact the obvious. You would think they're interested in Black people, but they're not. They're interested in that new faith that is being zealously spread by certain interests around the country, the rainbow cults. So,
according to AP,
like they just put them in place so they can go take care of somebody else, which is not surprising.
Well, according to AP News, the Georgia Ethics Commission voted unanimously on Wednesday to fine 2 advocacy groups that were founded by Democrat Stacey Abrams and led by Raphael Warnock before voters elected him to the U.S. Senate. Everybody's hands are dirty.
And look at what's happening down in Fulton County with Fannie.
With Fannie,
everybody. Look at the Sheriff LaButte. Look at the town council. Oh boy.
So the group's current leadership admitted 16 instances of activity in a consent decree and will pay $300,000 fine. That's the largest in state history. Now, wasn't she accusing Governor Kemp of voter fraud at one
Well,
point?
yeah, and see, there's an interesting thing. Georgia is interesting. Fulton County, to an extent, Cobb County, to an extent, DeKalb County, they are blue.
What's that noise?
They're cutting my yard outside, or somebody's blowing leaves up, and they just came up near the porch. So excuse that, but it's going away. So what's happened is those counties are essentially blue, but the rest of Georgia is red. So when you get this thing where you step out of line in one area, and the statewide mechanisms of investigation, enforcement relative to codes and laws and statutes that are in effect, you need to step lightly. And in Fulton County, Cobb County, DeKalb County, they have gotten arrogant and cocky, and they are not dotting their I's and crossing their T's. And as you listen to that debacle episode of Fannie getting up there and acting a damn fool, where she incriminated herself and a lot of other people with her testimony, hey, they don't even know how to be good crooks.
Abrams founded the New Georgia Project in 2013 to register more non-white and young voters in Georgia and to urge them to turn out. The project is a charity that can accept tax-deductible donations. The New Georgia Project Action Fund is a nonprofit social welfare organization that can directly endorse candidates, although donations aren't tax-deductible. Neither group normally has to disclose donors. Imani said the groups are likely to now file campaign finance disclosures for the period in question. So she created this nonprofit organization, New Georgia Project Fund, is a social welfare organization. And I always say this, there is a lot of money in shit, meaning whether it's Section 8, these social service welfare programs, all for non-white, young people, poor people, people living in poverty. There's a lot of money in what people will consider shitholes. And those are the people that are really taken advantage of the most.
Well, and I'll tell you what a lot of it gets spent for. Conferences that are held in nice resorts. Is you have a conference. You say all of the people that are interested in this, the higher ups, we're going to have a conference. So you go travel to a resort. You go to Vegas. You go down to the Caribbean. You go down to Mexico. You go someplace like that. You go to Disney World and you stay there for a week in luxury, paid for by the campaign donations, and you have lightweight discussions. Meanwhile, you have tour groups, so that after an hour spent discussing this, that, and the other project, you take 2 hours to go on a tour of Disney's Mickey Mouse development or whatever it may be, or the local restaurants, or go look at the alligators, or you go look at an art show, or you go shopping. And taxpayers who have contributed to what they think are advancement of their causes are actually paying for people to go have a party and a vacation. That's one of the main ways that this money gets spent. You saw that alluded to with Fannie Willis when you saw the huge cash paid meal tabs in Napa, California. Why is Fannie with Wade in Napa, California, and that's being put on the public tab? What possible reason do you have outside of a conference room, outside over there away from near Liberty Park, where the AG's headquarters are located? Well, the DA's headquarters are located. Why do you need to go outside there? You see.
And let's go to Warnock, because it says here Abrams stepped down in 2017 and said she had no role with the groups thereafter. Warnock, a close friend to Abrams, ally and Baptist minister, was listed as the New Georgia Project CEO on corporate filings in 2017, 2018, and 2019. I'm not prepared to say he had direct involvement in this. Imadi said, I didn't personally find evidence of that. Meanwhile, Michael Brewer, a spokesperson for Warnock's Senate office, said Warnock was not working as a longtime champion for voting rights and didn't know anything about violations. Compliance decisions were not a part of that work. Okay, I think he's lying. He knew, and he was.
And the other thing is, may I make an interjection?
Mhm.
To see where he's coming from, take a look at what is right across from the front entrance to his church. You go down the steps, you hit the sidewalk.
Baptist Church.
Yeah, you hit down the steps, hit the sidewalk, hit the street, go across the street, hit the sidewalk, and you get one of the filthiest homeless encampments in the United States. And you can't walk out of there without taking a look at this destitute group of people and circumstances with this filth. And he's in Congress and he does absolutely nothing about it. And the other thing too, he's still getting full salary as a preacher for that church, but he's also drawing the salary as a congressman, which gets into a loophole because technically you are not supposed to receive any compensation for any other employment while you are a representative in the U.S. House.
So I think
Or the Senate.
if
But
he
that's a loophole because he's a preacher.
if he is involved in this scandal, this campaign fund scandals with the nonprofit which he was part of heading, shouldn't he resign from his Senate position?
He doesn't have to resign. It would just be the decent thing to do. But if he was a decent person, he wouldn't be caught up in what he's caught up in. And by the way, you're supposed to be in charge. What did Harry Truman say 70-some years ago? The buck stops here. It's your responsibility.
Right. Listen, I love it now. I love it when these black notable politicians or so-called grassroots organizers or community activist people, just the well-to-do uppity black folks that supposed to be working for the poor black people. You're supposed to be creating policies to help your constituents. So I love it when they get exposed for their dirty deeds, i.e. Stacey Abrams, Raphael Warnock, Fannie Willis, and others that we will be exposing and talking about. So yeah, she can't run for office because who's gonna trust her? She's not going.
And I've got a personal grievance. A whole lot of people I know died, not in any damn nonviolent civil rights mess, but in some serious business militancy in the late mid-60s. And a lot of people went to bat to get things changed. And these little punklets and punkalatas who weren't even in diapers at that time, hadn't even been born. Some of them were, and the ones that were, they sat there and pimped off of the ones that had the nerve to do something.
Right.
And they are enjoying the benefits. And instead of continuing what a lot of people sacrificed to set in motion, they just exploited it.
Right.
And that's disgusting because it's just damn disgusting. And it's part of the cycle that I really like the expression of. Hard times make strong men make good times make weak males make hard times.